Hey guys, it's Pete from Pete from Anxiety here. Welcome to today's episode. I appreciate y'all being here so much. Let's talk about a few things real quick. The Pete vs. Anxiety Team Anxiety Facebook group. Are you a part of it? You're not? What are you waiting for? The link's down here in the description down below, or go to Facebook and search Pete vs. Anxiety. Then look for the Team Anxiety team page and join it today. Why not? You can join and help. It'll be great. Yeah, like right now. Hurry up. Stop what you're doing. Pause this video. Go do it now. But anyways, let's also talk about the Pete vs. Anxiety YouTube page. If you're here right now, you're probably following it most likely. If not, head on over there, subscribe, be sure to like and comment on the videos and let me know, because all that stuff really helps, guys. I really appreciate it. And help me break the stigma that mental health is talked about enough. But anyways, guys, let's get into today's episode. I'll have a great one. Thank you so much again. And as I always say, don't ask how your day is, ask how your mental health is today.
Guys, welcome to an exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. My guest today is a well-known equine therapist, artist, and mindset mentor. She's helped people overcome emotional challenges by connecting with horses using creative activities. After being told she'd never ride again because of lupus, she proved doctors wrong by healing herself on alternative horse training, personal growth, and art. Her inspiring story has been shared in magazines around the world. Please welcome in Kasia. Is it Bukowski?
Kasia Bukowska. Thank you.
Oh, it's close, man. I was like, damn. So, Kasia, why don't you tell everybody a little more about yourself?
Amazing. Okay, so I was born and raised in LA, and I feel like this is an important factor because my name sounds very Polish, and it is Polish because both of my parents are Polish.
My dad's actually Polish too. It's funny you say that.
Yeah, amazing. And they met in LA, and then I happened, but I never grew up knowing too much about Polish culture. It was kind of like they wanted to forget the past and just be and move forward in America and all of that. So I never spoke the language, and I spelled my name a little bit differently. But about 14 years ago, I decided to move to Poland for a horse. And I decided to, embrace my roots, start learning Polish, and tweak my name a little bit so that it's in line with the feminine Polish, name.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now I live in Poland. I have my own barn of 6 horses. And I do a lot. I do a lot because you know what? I have ADHD, but I embrace it and I absolutely love it. And once I came over this hump, this factor of thinking, oh, because I have ADHD, I can't do this, or I won't be successful, or I won't this. And I started realizing, ADHD is why I will become successful and why I'm able to do and juggle so many things. It has given me so much happiness to just embrace that and to do all of these different things. Like you mentioned, thank you for the wonderful introduction, by the way.
No problem. No, but like you can just tell you're excited about what you're doing, and then horses are always interesting too, because like I said before we hit record, I had another person on the show named Shane Jacobs. He was talking about the relationship between horses and teenagers and things like that too. So I found it very fascinating when that was the first thing I saw, and when I was looking up your information, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be an interesting story, because we've had other stories on here where people have the same thing. Doctors told them that they weren't going to walk anymore. Guy named Larry Volt, he wrote a book called the Magical Mind Shift. He was told he was never going to walk again, and he proved them wrong. And I'm like, that's the thing I don't understand, is why we make these automatic assumptions. I mean, because there's things that happen. Your story is inspirational. His is inspirational. It's really great. I mean, it's awesome. And they're pretty much in Horse Magazine, everything else, all that great stuff. So, that's awesome.
Yeah, things are happening. And it's like, the more I embrace that authenticity of who I am and I'm not afraid to show it, it's like I'm going even faster and faster and faster towards my goal.
So what happened that you were stuck in the wheelchair, though? I mean, was it just the lupus alone, or was it?
Yes, it was lupus and fibromyalgia, but lupus was the main thing. I inflated like a balloon. Every single joint in my body was swollen, and I was not able to move at all. So I needed care around the clock. And at that time I had a boyfriend of 3 months, which I broke up with him on a daily basis because I didn't want that for him. He met me super active, competing on horseback,
Yeah.
CrossFit, going to Zumba, doing all of the things, and then some, even competing in go-kart racing. And then all of a sudden, within 1 week, to be a vegetable, where he was literally feeding me, brushing my hair, washing me, because the nurses in Poland were absolutely awful. It was like a horror film.
Yeah.
And so he stepped up and, he did everything I needed. It was humiliating, embarrassing, to know someone for 3 months and have him wipe your butt. It was awful. It was awful. And
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't want to live, but I literally could not do anything about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that was really rough for me. And just thinking about it, I have so much maybe admiration for myself that I was able to pull myself out of it, because no one around me other than my boyfriend believed me when I was talking about the pain.
Yeah.
And doctors just wrote it off. They just said, "Oh, you're being too much." They literally said, "You're like an American actress." And I was like, I'm not
Oh,
an
okay.
actress. I'm just in extreme, excruciating pain.
Yeah. No, I get
Um,
that.
and yeah, but like the biggest factor for me was when I typed in how to train a horse from a wheelchair on Google, and I started seeing these inspiring stories. And once you see someone else accomplishing and doing what you thought wasn't possible because everyone around you says it's not possible,
Right.
then you start believing it. And so I stopped talking to people about what my goals were, and I would just focus on, if for example Amberly Snyder could do it, she was way worse off than what I had. So if she could do it, like,
Yeah.
for sure I could do it. And I just started looking for inspiration online and kind of being hush hush about it, because everyone in my circle, my family, didn't really understand what I was going through, and of course would believe doctors. And
Yeah.
also the other thing was, which was so disheartening, is that they pumped me on so many steroids that the swelling in my body came down. So I looked like how I look right now,
Yeah.
except I had excruciating joint pain in every single joint. So like I still
Ugh.
couldn't really move. But everyone said, "But you look fine. Stop being so dramatic." And
And
like,
see, that's the thing. People tell you stop being dramatic. It's like, I'm sorry, do you have this? No, so you don't understand it. It was
yeah,
I that feeling of joint pain. I remember because when I had COVID, girl, I could not even believe what you went through. My pain was horrible, but I'm sure yours was like 10 times worse than mine was. Like my joints felt like glass was being jabbed in them and things like that. I remember the first few days was just horrible for me. But God, I could not even begin to understand what you were going through. Jesus.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, it was painful, but going through that, I see why the universe, or some people call him God or
Yeah.
higher power, I like to just say the universe put this in my path to really correct me on my path. And I see it as an absolute gift, because I can now help people who are going through something similar,
Oh
maybe
yeah,
on the health
gift,
aspect.
inspirational. It's all those things, girl. Your story's inspiring. Like you came back from they said you weren't gonna walk at all to just being fully
They
functional
said I
now, and
wouldn't ride horses again. Exactly. They
exactly,
wouldn't.
and you're
That
doing
it
that
was.
too.
Yeah, yeah. So I was hobbling,
Yeah,
using the walls and stuff, but I was just determined, because I just wanted to be around horses, to smell horses, to observe horses. And because of me having zero strength whatsoever, like I couldn't use pressure with my
yeah,
horse. And so sometimes, like, I went to the barn, or sometimes at that time my boyfriend drove me to the barn, because I still wasn't able to walk too much and do too much. Um, but I would just sit and observe, because I couldn't even walk to the field to go get my horse, because it was too far. It was too much. And yeah, my husband, or now my husband, but at that time my boyfriend, could go walk and bring him. But, I started thinking, how about I just sit here and I observe the herd dynamics, understand each horse's role, and understand what the horse is feeling in the moments when other horses are reacting and why they react that way. So I just
Yeah.
decided to have it like a class. This was a class for me. And if it weren't for lupus, I never would have sat down and spent so many hours observing, learning, and going deep within inside myself to figure out what can I do to attract my horse to come and be with me because I literally don't have the strength to make him stay. So
Yeah.
what can I do to attract him but keep him curious and interested in me? And it's not necessarily with training, because I also didn't have the strength to hold like a whip and use pressure or anything.
Yeah.
So it had to be completely at liberty. And that's how I started learning and tweaking and testing with my one horse. And I saw what was working and I got so excited that I decided to purchase a horse from the UK and import her and not tell my family. First, I asked them for help, but they said, "Oh, you can barely walk. Are you crazy? You have a horse. You can't even ride the horse." And I was just like, okay. I felt so depressed, but then I thought, why can't I just do it by myself? So I saved up some money and I bought one horse, and then I felt so empowered.
Yeah.
So I was like, I fucking did it. I did it. I did it. I was just on this high. And so I got another horse the next month and another horse the next month, all of them from the UK. I imported them. I had them at a different stable
Yeah.
than the one horse that I had, so that if my dad came to the barn, he wouldn't see. So I hid all three of these horses from my dad, who lives in Poland, and my mom, who lives in the US, for about a year. And everyone was so shocked, like, wow, the medications are working so well. And I was like, just keeping, my mission, my dream, and my path and what I'm doing secret,
Yeah.
because no one supported it. No one accepted it. No one saw how this could help me. But I knew in my gut that this is the way out. This is the way out of being dependent on
Yeah.
everyone, for everything. And so that gave me the motivation to start exercising. And that was literally exercising my fingers at first,
Yeah.
because my tendons started to like shrivel. Everything in me started to like shrivel and shrink, and I just like got stuck in this position. And so the doctors told me that I had to move my fingers as much as I could, otherwise the tendons would keep shrinking. And
Yeah.
it was so painful, and that's literally why I started painting, to try to, this isn't a brush, this is all I have here, but like to literally
Work the
hold it
muscles. Yeah.
by
Yeah. Makes
myself.
sense.
Yeah, it was. And at that time, I was taking a lot of painkillers, and it did not help. It did not help. The painkillers did not help. It took it from a level 10 to maybe a level 9.5. So I
Jesus.
thought,
So what were you doing for the pain though? Were you using something else? Like I know people use like psychedelics and some other stuff. CBD does wonders these days for people. None of that stuff. You were just dealing with it, huh?
I was, nope, nothing. They gave
Jesus,
me,
bro.
they told me that my heightened emotions are making it worse, and that it's all in my head. So they prescribed me antidepressants, antipsychotics, anxiety meds. At
Ugh.
one point, I was on 5 different sleeping pills. And
They were just testing everything on you. They're just
yeah,
gonna start
and
calling
then
you the
also
guinea
I
pig
had
soon, bro. Oh
they
Jesus.
put me on lots of steroids, some malaria drugs, because that was helping
Yeah.
my joint inflammation, and methotrexate. Then some other stuff for my stomach. I don't even remember exactly. And then we had
Oh my
Vicodin,
God.
Klonopin, and
Jesus.
Xanax at one point to try to like keep me as a zombie. And when I realized that these pills weren't helping, then I just stopped and I tried to get out, my feelings through my artwork. And so
Yeah.
I would cry as I was painting because it was so physically painful. But what was even more painful than that was emotionally. not being around horses, not being able to see them, smell them, touch them, like that was more painful. So when you see my artwork, there's like these drips in the background, and so when I was painting, I would just use a lot of water and hold the paintbrush on the canvas, and it would just drip, and I was just like, this is a mirror for what I'm doing right now, which is crying. And
Yeah.
I still use these tears in my artwork because it's just a reminder of how strong I am and how resilient my body is. And, some people in my family tell me that I shouldn't post about it or talk about these things because it's embarrassing
Why
or
not? I mean, listen to what
right.
you went through, girl. You went from being stuck in a chair, basically being the guinea pig for pharmacies,
Yes.
to doing something inspiring now, and then you're doing great things with horses. You're helping other people.
You know,
Forget all the naysayers, girl.
yeah.
I would have told you kept going. I would have amped you up the whole time. Every time I see one of those posts,
Yeah.
I'm like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah. In the beginning, I had a lot of anxiety about sharing my story.
Yeah,
I felt really guilty even about when I posted my artwork to say where my story started and why I started painting, because I felt so much anxiety. I felt so embarrassed about it just because of my mindset and my upbringing and everything. But then I started to realize, that one afternoon where I typed in like how to train a horse from a wheelchair, if I didn't see those stories, I wouldn't have started.
yeah.
So I need to be that story for whoever is struggling with um, mental illness, something physical, something that doctors are telling them that it's just in their head, or maybe their family is telling them that you look fine, it's just in your head.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree 100%. The stories are powerful. We had Susan Snow on yesterday. She was talking her story. Girl, I almost started crying in the middle of the interview. I was like, damn, it was that tear jerking. Like
Mhm.
she was talking about it, but just hearing other people's stories inspires other people because they're like, well, if she can do it, why can't I come do it? And we've had
Mhm.
people come on the show that they heard one person's story. He's like, all right, now I want to get in. Let me get my shot at this thing. I was like, all right,
Right.
let's go. Come on. And it's great though, because like what you went through so far is just holy crap, dude. Like for
Yes.
you to say that lupus is the reason why you changed your life, most people are gonna look at you like, "What? You kidding me?" You know what I mean? It's like, but it's happened though. I mean, look where you're at now. You're happy. You're moving. You're doing everything that they said you couldn't do. You had all the naysayers be quiet, and they're still trying to talk. And it's like, well, sorry, I'm too busy posting these things that you don't like. So have fun, enjoy. And I agree though. It's hard at first because I pitched a couple of people to come on the show to tell their stories, and at first they were very hesitant. They're like, "Well, why? What does my story matter?" It's like, well, think of it this way: if you touch one person's heart, you've done enough right there, and then that person will tell another person, and that you know what I mean. And it just keeps building and building and building, And people don't realize like they're not alone. Like when they find out that they're not alone, even more, it's even better for them because then they're like, "Damn, well, I don't feel so alone now. Now I know that so and so deals with the same thing I was dealing with." And it happens in all different situations, like narcissistic relationships seems to be a real popular one lately for me with people that all have dealt with a narcissist at some point in their life that told them, or was controlling them and things like that too. So the stories always matter to me.
Mhm. Mhm. It's
So that,
interesting that you bring up narcissism because I was just talking about this with someone in the DMs about natural horsemanship,
yeah,
because there are certain levels of pressure that people use to create a situation in which the horse taps into fight or flight, usually flight.
yeah,
And you get them moving their feet using this pressure. And then you, for example, stop. And then when the horse comes to you, it's a moment of calmness. So, in that way, the horse learns to join up with you, to
yeah,
connect with you. And they say it's the horse's choice, but I don't see it that way at all because the horse doesn't really have a choice. The horse has a choice to, calm down and breathe and catch their breath and stand, or gallop their heart out in circles. And so eventually they're going to choose you, but I just see it as almost a narcissistic type of training because you're putting the horse into such a state of stress
hmm,
that you become the relief. So you create the stress, but you also create the bubble of relief, And I feel like that's so in line with how some narcissistic people work, where they
Yep.
create this environment, this toxic environment, but then they, oh, there, oh no, I'm here for you.
Yes. Yes, you're 100% correct. That's exactly what it is. Where you get the covert ones that'll make everyone around them think that, oh, I look so great, but then when the problem comes that they're the problem. Oh no, it's not me. It's not me. Someone else is telling them. What was it? Susan Tone's mom around telling people that the book that she wrote about her personal life and her experiences with her mom.
Mhm.
Oh no, she had a ghostwriter write those kind of things about me. Those are all lies. And I'm just like, huh? I'm like, because my mom does the same thing to me too. And I told my kids about it. It's like, yeah, your grandmother used to beat the tar out of me all the time. And she's like, they're like, oh no, I never did that. I never did those things to you. I'm like, yeah, I was there for him. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I didn't experience these things. I remember this shit happening. Oh no, that never happened. That never happened at all. So I mean, it makes me laugh when I hear people say that too, because I'm just like, I know the feeling. Trust me. And we've had an episode on narcissism. Actually, one of the hosts of a show called "You Have the Power," she came on and we were talking about her narcissistic exes, man. And people said that 15, like maybe 15, 20 minutes into the middle, they had to take a break because it was that intense for them because it hit so hard home. So that's why stories
Mhm.
really do matter like that, because people hear things like that and they can relate to it. And they're like, oh shit, dude, that relates to me a lot more than I realize it does.
Yeah.
And it's so inspiring though. I mean, it had to feel great though when they published your story and the horse magazine, things like that. Even a magazine in general, that's just awesome.
Yeah. And Barefoot Horse Magazine, because I was on the cover of Barefoot Horse
Hey,
Magazine.
there you go. Okay.
And the story that they featured is, me taking my horse barefoot and going bridleless. Because a lot of people in the industry feel like horses really need shoes. They have to have shoes.
Yeah.
But I was doing so much research and I wanted to go against that and try something different. But of course, everyone at the barn, everyone knows better. Oh, you're crazy. You're putting your horse through so much pain. You're torturing your horse. What an awful owner you are. And I'm trying to do the research. I'm trying to make an informed decision and what I think would be best for him. And I
Yeah.
continue to do what I thought was best based on my gut and my research, but following my intuition. And it was amazing. And we started doing amazing things. And I even competed bridleless, and it was just epic. And so they featured that story as well. And that's just another example of you don't have to listen to the professionals. Like doctors study a lot. Yes, they have so much knowledge, but I feel like there's another emotional, spiritual aspect of our resilience that they don't consider
Yeah.
how bad someone's will is to live.
Yeah, I think it's also the thing, the whole argument of Western medicine versus Eastern medicine. Eastern medicine is more holistic and natural cures, and what was it? The Western side is more like they treat the symptoms. Is the best way a lot of people described it. And you've lived in LA, so you have a kind of feel how both sides work to the puzzle. So you can contest to this. I don't know what it's like over there for you guys in Poland. Is it a lot different though than the American health system?
So what's crazy about the system here is that you can go get help and you can go to the hospital, but when there's a difficult situation that you need to get rehab or an operation now, it's usually likely that you'll have to wait 6 to 9 months, which is
Jeez.
stupid because if you break your leg and then you need to start rehab, they're like, okay, yeah, come back next year. It's like it doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't
So
make sense. I think they should prioritize it, honestly. But I mean, it's like I said, it's different here. Here, it's kind of the same thing almost too, depending on what it is. So because they send you off to these other people, and the cost of it's just crazy though. Especially mental health though. Like, let me ask you this question though: what is
mhm.
it like for the mental health care system over there? It's got to be way different than us. Please tell me it's way different
It
than us.
is awful. It is awful over here.
Oh
I'm trying to
no,
get
really?
that in at least the schools. People
Yeah,
are starting to be more open to going to a psychologist, but it's
yeah,
very taboo. It's like, no, I'm healthy. I'm fine. Everyone in my family is healthy. Everyone is perfect. And if something's happening, just like sweep it under the rug and don't talk about it.
yeah, yeah.
And like someone that I know, their child was having a very hard time. And I went to their school to talk about emotions because she experienced a panic attack and
Oh
no
shit.
one knew what was going on. No one knew what that was.
Oh no, that poor child, man. I know what it's like.
Yes.
It's
And
horrible.
so she experienced trauma during her panic attack because of the way that teacher behaved.
Yeah.
And so I decided to go and volunteer and go speak with the kids. So I did two-hour sessions over there. Then I invited them for a school field trip here to my barn to talk about horses and emotions. And then I also went to another school a couple towns down because it seems like the schools don't have access to this kind of information. The teachers definitely don't. Some of the schools do have a counselor, but
Listen, let's say it this way. It's the counselors here are not any better sometimes too, depending on what schools you go to around here. I've had to deal with that problem before when one of my kids were getting bullied, and it was just like they have no sense of reality when it comes to it. They're like, oh, we're gonna discipline them. Then do something about this problem. Don't let it continue to be an issue, you know? Oh, we have cameras and everything. Okay, so you have cameras. So what do the cameras say? You know, like we had
yeah,
an incident. Like, I don't really talk about much, but I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll be honest with you. Here's
yeah,
this incident. Okay, so the setup was I got a call. I was at work. Oh, hey, your child had passed out in class. I was like, oh shit, I'm on the way. What happened? Oh, I don't know. But okay, so you're telling me the adult in the room, nobody asked the adult in the room what happened. You have no idea what happened. And I'm at the doctor, took her to the doctor trying to figure out what's going on here. And she fainted in class, and no one seems to know, but nobody asked the adult sitting in the room. And it's like, this is the school's logic, by the way. And I was like, huh? That makes no sense. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what happened. The adult in the room, what were they doing at the time that they didn't see this go on, or they didn't ask them? Because all the students in the room that had told me anything and where friends of hers were like, yeah, he was on their phone. I'm like, you're on your phone. Okay. So you're staring at your phone. How are you watching what these kids are doing? You're supposed to be in charge of these kids. You know what I'm saying? And I went to the school and it's like, I almost had to get arrested because I was making that much noise about it. Cause I was like, this is ridiculous. Like we don't ask the person in the room what's going on. And it's probably because they knew what they were doing and they didn't want it to be brought to light. But then it was like, well, I'll just call a couple friends I got. You know, we got the news down here. Have some real noise come on down here and things like that. Oh no, we don't need that. Oh, all of a sudden now you don't need that because now I'm offering to make blow this situation even further because I'm trying to figure out the root of the problem is that your person in the room wasn't doing anything. And I'm just like, it's sad because this adult is supposed to be watching these kids. Something happens, and then all you're trying to do is figure out what happened, and you can't even get the answer to it because they don't even know.
that is absolutely outrageous and so
Yeah.
frustrating. I don't have any children. I have animals for babies,
They
but
are
I can
babies though. You got
only,
children, you got the horses. What do you mean? Those are
yeah,
your children.
when something happens with them, I have become a different person. I have,
Yeah. Well, it looks
yeah,
like you're very close though, because I went through your social media. I was looking at it, and you spend a lot of time with the horses and things like that. They're just laying down, and you're there hanging out with them. It's really cool to see, though. I mean, it's like for people that don't own horses, it's like owning a dog. Like that connection, you could see the connection, and when you talk about it, you could feel that real positive energy coming through. That it's really something to you because the horses alone is why you're still walking now. Now you're doing great things with it and helping other people with it, teaching these kids, how to handle their emotions, which is great. I think it's fantastic because I think we need to start teaching them at a younger age to understand what their feelings are so they know what exactly these feelings are and how to better regulate their emotions. Would you not agree to that?
yes, totally, 100 million thousand percent. But one thing that I've run into is, I wanted to volunteer at the school nearby
Yeah.
on Fridays, a couple hours for the kids who need it most, because I was speaking with one of the teachers and one of the eighth graders attempted suicide. And
Oh,
in my
okay.
area,
Okay.
there have been multiple attempts also by young adults, 19 to
Jesus.
22 years old. And I'm thinking these counselors, these psychologists in the area might not exactly know how to deal with someone in person who is experiencing this because
Yeah.
yeah, you can read a book, but I have been there and
Y'all
I
hear what
have
you just said? You
survived.
can read a book,
Yeah.
but the book does you only so great. I love it. I love it.
Yes, exactly. But they said they can't allow me there because I'm not I don't have, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. So I just signed up for a certification program, which will take 2 years starting in January. It's by Melissa Pierce, and it uses Gestalt practices with equine assisted therapy. So at least I'll have this certification. So now it might be easier to, get my foot in the door and
Yeah.
start working with them, because legally it's so hard and it's so frustrating because people are crying for help, but people don't know how to deal with that kind of cry for help. And I'm
Exactly.
like,
That's what I'm saying.
here, come talk to me. I can help you. And it's tough. It's tough because
So
also
let me ask you a real interesting question though. How many of those students, you know if they were male or female?
it was mixed, because the eighth grader was a female.
Okay.
But then the 22-year-old who actually did commit suicide, and then his girlfriend attempted suicide the
Oh,
next
okay.
day, and she was 19, but they cut her down, so they were able to save her.
Jesus,
Um,
that's so horrible, especially at 19 and 22. The only reason I was asking because we were looking at statistics of men's mental health month just in general that like because 80% here in the States are lone or males. That's a staggering number. Now I don't know
mhm,
what the statistics are over there, but it's just crazy though that they're so young and they're taking their lives already. And it's like, these kids are
yeah,
screaming for help and you can't help them. And it's gotta be hard though to watch because you're like, we could have saved them, but you all don't want to save them because you have all these restrictions in the way that we're trying to help these kids.
exactly. So, but people have been talking, and so I say I do coaching,
Yeah.
and I do have some parents who understand that I'm not licensed
Yeah.
as a psychologist, but we do work with horses, and it's more just like life coaching. And we've had amazing results. And one mother told me recently, her daughter has been coming to me for about 3 months now, and she told me that before she was going to a psychologist once a week, they drove almost 40 minutes one way,
Yeah.
and she was going for about 2 months. And in 2 sessions with me in 1 week, she had more progress and she changed in 1 week, 2 sessions, 2 hours. One session is 1 hour, then 2 months of weekly sessions with a psychologist.
Yeah,
And
I could see that though because therapy's not for everybody's, and that's really all it's getting to the root of. It's just that whatever that wasn't working for her, but this works for her. Doesn't mean that the therapist wasn't qualified. It just means that what you're
true,
doing
true.
applied more to her, though. You know what I'm saying, though. But I mean, it's
And
fantastic,
the
though.
horses do amazing. They're
Yeah,
better than me. I just kind of like start, and then the horses, take the lead and uncover some really deep stuff.
that's so interesting, though. Would you consider me like therapy animals? Like some people have emotional support animals. I would think that the horses were probably your emotional support animal, honestly, and they understood you on a deeper level. That connection you have. You watch some of these other movies. They say I don't even remember the Never Ending Story. Remember how the kid and the horse had such a connection, kind of thing, and he was
Mhm.
freaking out. People just don't get it. They're like, oh, okay, and it goes for any animal, really. You think about it, it's just that connection. Like I have a dog. I have a German Shepherd that I'm diabetic, so like when my sugars get low, I just noticed recently that she notices that something's wrong, and she'll come over and keep pawing me to say, "Hey, listen, you got to do something. Hey, listen, you got to do something." Like, and I don't notice sometimes. I'm busy, stuck doing something else, or I'm doing something, not paying attention, or I haven't eaten all day, and she can sense it. Like it's almost like a sixth sense because my mother in
Yeah.
law was having issues the other day when she was visiting, and the dog was on really all on her, and we were like trying to figure out why the dog was right with her, and I didn't think about it at the time, but I said to my wife, I said, "Hey, do you think it's because the fact that she can sense your blood sugar is what her deal was?" Because she was stuck to my mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law had a sugar crash right there, and the dog was right there, and it was like, putting two and two together. It's amazing the things that what animals can sense, though. Like
Mhm.
everybody, it's that thing of, oh, they can sense fear. Yeah, they can sense that, but they can sense a lot of other things too. And she had a really good ability to do that though, because she kept tapping me, and my wife's like, I'm like, this dog is driving me absolutely crazy. Go check your blood sugar, and I check
Oh,
it, and it's high, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's go. So then we'll go for like a walk around the block kind of thing, and all these small little things make a difference. Like you don't need to like medication doesn't fix it all, man. You could treat some of the symptoms, but with that kind of stuff, you like it's a simple, hey, go out, take a stroll around the block, take the dog for a walk, have some water with you. and it'll go down, and come back and check and see, watch how much it's dropped already, just by doing that little activity. And I think that people need to understand that too, is that just like there's so many other things you can do out there, like the connection with the kids with the horse and things like that, and did you get a lot of scrutiny though at first when you started telling people what you do? I mean, because people are gonna look at you like, oh yeah, you work with horses, okay, yeah, that's, you know what I mean, like they're looking at you like you're the crazy person, but it's working though, that's the thing.
Yeah, like yes and no, depending. Because like when I started collecting different horses of different backgrounds, like those three from the UK, and then
Yeah,
I rescued a couple horses. I really wanted to test and see if my horse training and connection methods would work on every type of horse: old,
yeah,
young, abused, perfect childhood, full hood. I don't know what to call it, but like I wanted to test it. And so I got a lot of hate also from some veterinarians and also some of my horse friends and horse trainers, saying that I'm too wishy-washy and girly and I need to dominate and be a leader and not allow my horse to do those things. And so it was really disheartening. But in doing that, I've now developed this kind of connection with my horses where we can communicate and have this conversation of, I go out and let's just say like I want to jump today. I'm feeling like I want to practice jumping. I'm like good. And so I take the one horse that's really good at jumping. And let's say I start riding and I feel like something's off. So in this case, I will, because of our connection and how we've built trust over years and years and years, I will ask him, like, can you do this for me? I'll ask him a couple times. If he says no consistently, no, no, louder. And when I say louder, I mean he's giving some signals or resistance that they
yeah,
start to build one on top of another. So let's say like I squeeze him forward because I want him to pick up the canner, and I see his head goes back a little or his ears go back. Ask him again, can we do it bending? And he does the neck thing, he does the ear thing, and now I hear a tail swish. So now I see that it's building. And so I have two options here. I can be an asshole and push him through it and be like, no, we're jumping today, like you got to do this, where then he will likely, because of his personality, submit and just do it, but that ruins and destroys all of that connection that we've just built.
yeah,
Or I can try a different exercise. Okay, today we're not going to canter or jump, but let's practice something else. I don't know, circles today. And I'll see
yeah,
if we can compromise on that. And that's so exciting because then when we're in a situation later on, let's say at a horse show or we're out in the forest and someone comes out on a quad or something and they spook, then they don't just dive into their fight or flight instinct. There's a moment where I can see like he stands his ground, but he checks in with me. And like it's almost like he asks me not out of fear of what I'm gonna do, but out of trust for being able to rely on my previous decisions and trust my decision making capabilities in a
yeah,
scary situation. So for me, that's what gives me like this happiness rush, these endorphins and dopamine, like, my horse chose me. My horse really chose me in this situation. Or, like it's not I'm getting confused here, but like it's not that my horse feels
yeah,
this pressure to perform. Otherwise, I'm gonna be crazy on him. I'm gonna be
yeah,
so crazy that he's gonna be more scared of me than whatever's out there. So it's so much more fulfilling than winning a ribbon, because I have done my share of competing. That's actually one of the reasons I moved to Poland, is when this horse that I fell in love with, when I heard he was for sale, I left everything in LA, because riding horses and having a horse, especially a show horse, and going to competitions and transporting them there and all of the things involved, I was not able to financially afford it. But in Poland, I was.
yeah.
So I moved here to finally, move up and do Grand Prix. That was the goal. And then Lupus, oh, puppy in the background.
Yep, that's my dog right there. That's what I was talking about.
Check your
Yeah,
sugar.
yeah. She was like, she'll tap on you, but that's
Oh,
so that's not really shocking, honestly. Like I said, with the connection that me and her have, like ever since I met her, because she's a rescue too, and when we got her, she had a lot of problems, like really bad anxiety and things like that too. Things would spook her really bad, but she knew commands and things like that too, and other stuff like that too. So like, it was different because you couldn't approach her the same way you do most dogs, because she's specially trained a little bit. So like when people try to interact with her, I've got to tell them ahead of time, listen, you got to be real careful because she's in training. So I don't know how she's going to react to other people though. She gets real protective though, of the little one too, as well. And she growing a bond with her too. And she's really connected to me as well. Like I said, because me and her go walks all the time, and she'll keep tapping me and telling me, and I'm not used to having a big dog like that too. I'm used to having, like, I'm a cat guy, but normally that's why I used to have was cats when me and my wife first met. But then I had to give them up because where we're living now, we couldn't have cats. So we ended up getting her because it was that or they're going to put her down. And I was like, no, let's take her in. Let's see what happens. And little by little, you could see that she's starting to trust people. She was abused before. You could tell though by certain things. So like with her, it's more tone of voice. You get to a certain tone, she'll understand what you're saying, and then and if you get mad or something starts going down, she's just like, oh no. But if she's a nervous wreck, it usually means there's thunderstorms coming or something that she doesn't like. So, we have to give her something to calm her down. But other than that,
Mhm.
usually she's pretty good about a lot of stuff. She's real good. She's real heightened sense of protection of things, and things like that too. And then the blood sugar thing, we noticed that she started picking up on that too a little bit, knew something was danger. But it's kind of been, it's interesting though, but it doesn't really shock me that you and the horse have that level of a connection though, because you guys have been through a lot though. Think about it. It was your first horse when you were in
Yeah.
the wheelchair still and connecting and trying to get back on your feet and get moving and everything like that. And I think it's powerful, honestly. It's a great story, because it's like, I was told I can't do anything, all these naysayers, and I went ahead and told them, fuck you, basically, and just did it anyways. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care. Which is great though. I mean, it's awesome though. Even the fact that you just left everything and went to Poland is kind of cool too, though, because it's
Still
just
learning the
like,
language.
what do they speak over there?
Polish.
Oh, okay, Polish. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was just, but so I saw one of your posts. It had to be Polish then, because I was like, what is she speaking? I don't know.
I'm still learning. I have an accent. Everyone knows. They always comment on it, but I used
Oh
to be
yeah.
embarrassed. And the first 2 years of living in Poland, I didn't speak at all. It wasn't until I met my now husband because he didn't speak English.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, at
I
least you
had
had
to
somebody.
learn.
At least you had somebody who could help you, though. I mean, at that time,
Mhm.
he knew understood
Mhm.
language. He could tell you what you're misunderstanding, which is so cool, though, because it's the second time in a row now that we've heard somebody say that the boyfriend of 3 months was involved in the situation. Susan Snow's situation too. The boyfriend's only there for a few months, 3 months as well. And I was like, before I can even ask, you're like, oh, my husband. Now I'm like, I already knew that she married this guy. Watch.
Yeah, yeah, I saw the commitment. So I broke up with
Yeah.
him multiple times every day. Like
Yeah,
I
but
didn't want
hats
that
off to him though. I mean, he stuck through a lot, man. Like that's a real one though. It's awesome. I'm so glad that you guys found each other, because it sounded
Mhm.
like from right there you already had a big connection. The fact that he was doing all these things, even though you were feeling embarrassed, he still didn't care. He was still helping you out. That's a real one. That's what we call that, a real one. Is what I call him. Because that just means that through anything, it doesn't matter what it was, he was still there. And like, hats off to him, because a lot of people, when it comes to those situations, like people get in addiction relationships that deal with people that have a really bad addiction that are coming out of. It's one of those scenarios where you have to tell people, like, either you're in this or you're out of this thing. You need to decide right now, because you can't leave halfway through this. And he knew what he was doing when he got into it. He's like, fuck it, I'm here to the end of this thing, regardless of how bad it gets. So
Mhm.
hats off to him 100% for that, because
Yeah.
that shows you that, it's just like, you don't have to know people long just to be a kind person to someone too.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what are you up to these days over there? You just kind of still competing at all too?
No, I haven't competed in quite a long time. I think the
Yeah.
last time was about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, I've been focused on developing my businesses, mainly my artwork, and then also my horse connection training business. But the universe is so wonderful and beautiful because it's like it just corrects me, and it's like a wake up call. It's just like, ah, you're not on your path. Wake up, Kasia. So
Right.
I
Right. No,
started
I get that
giving
completely.
these. Sorry, say it again.
I said I get that completely.
Yeah, okay. So I started giving these clinics to, like, horse people, how to connect with their
Yeah.
horse. But I had so much pushback because people were not from everyone. The girls or women specifically, and one man who struggled with depression or some sort of big trauma, or were still in this deep depression, were the only people who actually heard and implemented what I said. Everyone else were just like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense because this. And like they were just looking for reasons why I'm wrong to like point
Yeah.
it out and then, sit back and like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. And I just felt like,
You're
do you
so
want
animated. I love it.
like
That's great. But
this one, I could say this one woman who I was working with, she could ride bridleless. And she was
yeah,
talking about how like horse emotions, yes, I respect, amazing. And I was like, wow, perfect, perfect client. No, was not the perfect client because she says one thing, but there's still a filter on her glasses, her invisible glasses, that she thinks she's doing this, but she's not aware of how she's dominating her horse and how
yeah,
her horse is expressing XYZ emotions, which I try to point out. And again, they just look for reasons why I'm wrong. No, because this other trainer said this. And I was like, well, right now in your bridleless riding, you're able to do A to B. If you
yeah.
tweak this, you can go A to X to Y to Z, and you can go and start competing. And she's like, no, but I've always done it this way. And I was like, exactly. That's why you're still at B. But she was just like, no, it doesn't. Mm-mm. It's like some
So,
people
no,
just are not willing to hear it. They just want to hear that they're doing an amazing, oh, good job, you're amazing. Like they just want all of that cheer. And I call people out. And so the only people who are willing to listen to me are the people who are so hurt that they're willing to surrender and do anything and try anything. And so
yeah,
that's why I thought that I actually don't necessarily want to work with equestrians unless they are struggling with severe anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, anything like that. Then yes, let's work together. But otherwise, I feel like I'm being called more towards people who have nothing to do with horses, who think they're beautiful creatures, but they're scared, for example. And that's a
yeah.
wonderful breakthrough that can happen here with me in person. And so I've had clients like this who have nothing to do with horses, but someone said this and they told them this, and they haven't had any success with 3 different psychologists. So they're willing to try anything. And
Just
you
three,
know,
because there's some people that go through like 5 or 6 of them at this point, and I'm just like, I love the holistic medicine side of things because I think it's a new approach and it clearly works because there's people that have success stories. And in this way, people don't feel like therapy is the end all be all. Like if therapy isn't for you, there's tons of things out there. And that's why I bring people like yourself on so people can understand. Hey, listen, there's different people, things are doing different things out there. Like if therapy don't work for you, cool. Hey, listen, you got plenty of people. You got Kasia out here doing things. You got, Shane, he's doing stuff with horses too. We got all these other people, like people doing things with psychedelics and things like, what I mean? The point is just to highlight a lot of the stuff you guys are doing. Obviously you hear your story too, because it's inspiring in general. Just because someone's going to hear that story and be like, damn, no, I got to do the same thing too. I got to get up to her level. She did it. Why can't I do it? Just like, you didn't
exactly.
let anybody tell you couldn't do it. You're like, fuck it. I'm going to do it myself without anybody's help. I got
Yeah,
this, and you're doing great things though. That's what I'm saying though. It's like, I think it's a great approach because it doesn't feel like, therapy is the one track thing because everybody's afraid of therapy usually because it's like, oh, they're going to give you a bunch of pills. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? That's not how it works, man. It's like when people say that, I'm just looking at them like, huh? What the hell are you talking about, man? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, if you don't want to do therapy, I got a whole client list of people I've talked to on this show. I could send you over to one of them, and they do something else that fits in that category. You don't have to worry about pills. Like everybody's not worried about pills. Like, do you need them? Or is there some reason you think you need them? Oh well, I don't want nobody to know I'm going to therapy, and it's like they're ashamed to go get help for themselves. But
yeah. Well, that's
it's
where I was for such a long period of time as well, and I completely understand that. I mean, I
yeah,
started therapy, I think I was 13, but I had initially started cutting at 11.
oh,
And
okay,
so like my stuff, my heavy stuff started at
yeah,
quite a young age. And going through my spiritual processes also with my horses and meditating has allowed me to access a lot of blocked memories that I forgot about my childhood. And what was really sad and really depressing is that I can even say the first time that I attempted suicide was when I was 6 years old. And that is nuts to me now,
Yeah.
that a child would know what that means, and
Yeah.
like how is that even possible? And I when I was meditating and going into this deep state, because I truly feel we have to feel all of that pain to release it, like it's trapped within us.
Yeah.
And the horses can help evoke and show you where that wound is, so that I can be there with you in that moment to open it up, feel it. The horse is there with you. The horses, help co-regulate with their slower heart rate. They kind of like shut down. They become like this safety umbrella for you to
Yeah.
like cradle you while you have these emotions. But like when I was going deep into it and I was feeling all of this pain, it was just so saddening. But once I was able to touch that point, and then like come in as myself now and tell myself the things that I needed to hear and heal that, then now I can talk about it. But you know I
Yeah.
wasn't able
Definitely.
to talk about it until I was able to process it. And multiple traumas like that, where I tried in therapy to touch on it, and then a panic attack would just happen and I wasn't able to talk about it at all. Like,
Yeah.
um
Isn't it crazy when a panic attack happens and then they don't do anything about it? I've heard a lot of stories about therapists. Like, what was it? One person told me that it was that they didn't care. They were just not even asking the right questions. Like, they purposely avoided asking those questions because it was almost like they were just trying to get paid and they didn't want to do anything else. And it's sad that people come to you for help and this is how you treat them. You act like, okay, they're just a paycheck instead of helping them deal with the problems that they're having that clearly you can see they're dealing with, in whatever it is, whatever the situation is. It's saddening. It really is. I think it's ridiculous. But it's great that people like you exist though, and you're out here doing your thing because it's like, okay, well, you don't care and she cares. Let me go talk to her
yeah,
and work with her. You know what I'm saying? Because you're winning that battle every time because it's like you said, you had people that see multiple therapists are like, well, fuck it, I'm out for anything at this point. And then they
mhm,
see what happens and they're like, oh my God, this works so well, then they're going to tell their people about it too. And it just only keeps building, reconfirming that what you're doing is even better, because you're helping these people. And
yeah,
it's amazing. It really is. I hats off to you. Like,
thank
like
you.
you've been through hell and back, girl, and you're still doing it and you're still hustling out there. And I love it. I really do.
I have
And I
this
want to,
one.
I want to,
Go ahead.
sorry. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you off
Okay.
there.
This one young teen came to mind right now because she was struggling with panic attacks,
Yeah.
and one of her triggers is actually related to riding horses, but she loves riding horses. And so we were doing stuff around the horses and things like that. It's getting better. She wasn't ready to really talk about it, but I saw that something triggered her and it was starting to come up. And she's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, there's no reason to be sorry, let's feel this together." And she's like, "Oh, I just need to do something and it'll go away." I was like, pushing it down is not going to help.
Yeah.
I know what's going on. Here's what's going on in your body right now. Let's just sit through this together. And so being with her there, instead of like, "Oh, just breathe, just calm down, it's okay, stop,
Right.
we have to go, we have to be at home by this time," like that's just causing more stress. And the
Yeah.
fact that she had this panic attack that was starting, and then she was making it worse because she wasn't allowed to feel that way, to have the panic attack. She's a burden now. It's like, you're not a burden, because I know how it feels that you're messing up everyone else's life. You're not a burden. I'm here with you. This is exactly what we're supposed to do right now. The horse is here with us. We're just going to breathe through it. And so she could have the panic attack and feel safe as well, and learn that it's okay to have it. Not it's like, "Oh, you're bad for having you're messing up my life and my routine and my schedule. How dare
Yeah.
you?"
No, I hear you there. Made me laugh though when you said calm down because I had a panic attack at work and someone told me, well, you just need to relax.
Ha! Thanks
Sure,
for the
why not?
advice. Think of
Thanks for
that.
the fucking advice. Like you can clearly tell they're so far removed or they have no idea what they're even talking about. like they know something's going on, but they're like, well, we just need not to freak out. I'm like, well, it happens from time to time. And I walked away from everybody just to kind of, get recenter myself. And then they come out and start adding more crap to it. I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah, I could feel that whole situation. As soon as you said that, in my head, I'm thinking, oh God, I've been there. I know what it's like. People
Yeah.
just don't get it. And it's scary that people don't get it. But a lot of people want to tell you, oh, well, oh, I mental health awareness month, this, and then after that, it's like you don't hear them say a single word about it, and it's like, okay, I'm great. This is just like a catchphrase issue for you at the time, but this is something
Mhm.
I deal with near and dear to my heart. I deal with all every day of my life. Yeah, I'm glad you kind of make a mockery of it because you want to sit here and make a couple posts about it, and then after that, you're like, okay, well, I'm done with it. The hot button issue's over. We're done with it. We'll move on to Men's
Mhm.
Mental Health Month, and then it's just like, anyways, but it's so great to have you come. I appreciate you being here. It was so great meeting you. I love the story. I love what you're doing. I'm definitely going to keep following to see what you're up to next. And and as always, I always support everybody that comes on here because I love what you guys do. I think that what you're doing is great. You're making
Thank
a
you.
change in the world, and it's inspiring that you went from hell to back and you're still going, man. I love it. It's nothing but inspirational in itself.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much.
with that being said, as we start wrapping up, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you? I know you're on Instagram. Do you have a website you'd like to send everybody to that way in case they want to get some more information or they want to reach out? What's the best place for them to catch you?
Best place would be Instagram because I'm on there all the time. So my Instagram is equestrian Kasia, Kasia Bukowska, Bukowska. And I have a separate art account, but it's usually linked there, Kasia Bukowska
Okay.
Art. And then my website where I have an upcoming webinar coming up about
There you
how
go.
horses are mirroring what's going on deep inside you and how to translate that, not just see what your horse's signals are, but how to understand it and how it relates back to you. So that's also going to be featured on my Instagram page in my bio for anyone who wants that. And then my
I'll make sure
website.
to share that out too I'll get the information, share it out for sure for you on that one.
Amazing. And you don't have to have a horse to be able to tap in and listen and tune in. If you have an animal whatsoever, a cat, a dog, a bird,
Yeah.
you might get something as well. You'll take something from this webinar as well. And then I have an ebook as well for people who are
Okay.
starting on their self-development journey, kind of using their horses as their therapist and learning how to interpret their horse's signals for what's going on in their subconscious. And so there's like a short little chapter with some workbook exercises to help you go deeper into the exercise with your horse and then journal about it and uncover something. So that's on my website, which is Heart Horse Experience, because I truly feel any horse can be your heart horse and show you so many lovely things about yourself. And then my artwork, if anyone's interested in checking out more of my symbolic artwork, each piece has a story. It is on kasiabukowska.com.
Definitely. And guys, I'll have all those links down below in the video here for everybody. And anybody listening in the audio side, I'll have links down below in the description of the video, the audio track as well, too. And Kasha, thanks for coming. Like I said, it was great having you. I love what you're doing. And like I said, I will share out that webinar for everybody too. I'll post it on my pages and all my socials and things like that. And guys, this is going to wrap up this episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. You know where to find me. I'm X all the way down to TikTok. I'm on Spotify all the way down to iHeartRadio. And as I always say, it costs nothing, absolutely nothing to be kind to somebody. One kind act you could do could save somebody's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete vs. Anxiety signing off saying, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey, how's your mental health?